Dog Works Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dog Works. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com. You can support this podcast on patreon.com/Tiamaneke. We're living in uncertain times. If there is one thing we can be thankful for, that is the recent pet adoption boom. Shelters are being cleared out, and that means you may not know much about your new best friend. Alaska Dog Works virtual and on-site classes are the best way for you to build a lasting bond and learn about your pup, new or old. From setting up a proper routine to learning the commands and much more, Alaska Dog Works provides you with the resources to develop your dog into one of the best. Right now, Alaska Dog Works has an exclusive offer just for our listeners. Go to alaskadogworks.com now and use promo code DOGWORKS and save 20% off your training program at the time of your booking. Visit alaskadogworks.com and use promo code DOGWORKS to save 20% today. That's alaskadogworks.com and use promo code DOGWORKS at the time of booking.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by First Paw Coffee Company, specializing in private label premium blend coffee. If you're serious about coffee, you should check it out. First Paw Coffee's passion is high-quality, small-batch roasted coffee. They take the extra time to taste and get everything perfect before they release new blends. They aim to bring you a cup of happiness each time you pour yourself some coffee. Find out more at ak.dog/free and enter for a chance to win some First Paw Coffee prizes, a book from our collection, and tote bag. One winner will be selected at random each month. That's ak.dog/free.
The Dog Driver Show is brought to you by Dr. Tim's Pet Food, makers of such foods as Momentum, Fusion, Glacier, and Pursuit Athletic Dog Foods. Dr. Tim's has fed 5 of the last 8 Iditarod winners and some of the fastest sprint dogs on the planet. Dr. Tim's, a food for success. From First Paw Media, sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company, this is the Dog Driver Show. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert Forto and Kurosh Parto.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Robert and I'm here with KP and we are the Dog Driver Show. And today we are talking to a sprint musher calling in from Norway. KP, who do we have?
Today we have a young man, a very, very special athlete, part of the Boysen Hillestad trio. We have Andre Boysen, the son of Lena Boysen and Kjetil Hillestad. He is joining us from Norway, and I'm really having fun having him as a guest talking to us today. Andre, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Andre, why don't you give us a little bit of background and tell us how old you are and what you do with the sled dog racing?
I'm 17 years old and I've been doing this sport my whole life. And I'm competing in 4-dog sled, ski touring 1 dog, scooter 2 dog and 1 dog, and bike touring 1 dog.
So you do everything, right?
Almost everything.
Andre, tell me.
And I go with a rig 4 dog.
A rig also.
And I also go with a rig 4 dog.
Andre, a lot of our listeners are non-mushers, actually. Tell us a little bit about growing up as a kid in a very, very competitive, athletic sled dog racing family. As a kid, how did you grow up?
I grew up at Hamar, the place we live in Norway, and we had a lot of snow in the winters. So it's fun because it's something to do every day with the dogs. We can go out with a ski on the dog. We can go out skiing with the dogs, or we can just go out and have a camping trip with the dogs. And
how old were you when you started being on the skis?
I don't actually remember because it's so long ago, but I think I was 6 years old when I started racing with my own dog alone.
Okay. And I know that in Norway it's a tradition to do ski touring and having cross-country skiing. Is this something you also did with the dogs right away, or did you ski before
Yeah,
you had dogs?
that's we have dogs. I have had dogs my whole life, so I just grew up in the sport, and I just followed my mom.
How
So
old how old were you when you did your first competition, Andre?
I think I was 6 years old. I don't actually remember,
And
but
go ahead.
I've been doing this sport, or I've been competing every season since I was 6 years.
So even at 17 years old, you probably have more experience at a lot of lot of sprinters in the field because you grew up with your mom and your dad
Yeah,
being in the sled dog sport.
yeah.
What was your most recent competition that you did?
The European Championship at Åsarna in Sweden, and I came in second place at the four dog sled, and I came in third place in ski touring with one dog.
So how do
And
you
I
go ahead?
no, I don't. I just forget it.
So how do you do as a young man who is involved in competitive racing, sled dogs, of course, and school? How do you manage both of them?
It's hard sometimes, but school is helping me and giving permission to me so I can leave out of the country to do the sport. So it's really nice, and I don't remember the first thing you asked. What was the first question you asked?
Between racing and school, is it difficult? That's the question was.
It's a little difficult, but we don't have a lot of homework, so it's quite easy because then I can use more times on the dogs.
Okay.
So it's really nice.
And we had several junior mushers on our show in the past, and I always ask them for the work with the dogs, with the dog chores, I call them, feeding the dogs, cleaning the kennel,
Yeah.
all of that. Do you do all of that too, or mom and dad, they take care of it?
Me and Mama share the dogs. So the morning before I go to school, she give the dogs food, and in the middle of the day she gives them water. But when I come home for school, I do the job with the dogs. So I give them food at night.
And
So we're sharing on it.
you share, okay. And do you train your own dogs, or your dad or your mom, they train them too for you, or you only train your own dogs?
Me and Lena, my mom, train the dogs together with other people and having really fun. And we usually go around 7 to 1 and 2 miles or 20K.
Or 20 up to 20K, okay.
Yeah.
And when do you start working with the dogs in the season? Do you train the dogs all year, or just during the fall and winter?
In the summer, we don't try to train them too much because it's hot outside, but we train them now. We try to train them sometimes because they are really liking to run, so we need to activate them. I don't know.
Yeah, exercise them.
Yeah, exercise them, so they don't get bored, and so we're training because of the dogs, so they don't get bored. And now, in the summer, but we usually train them every day at the winter.
Oh, you train your dogs every day during the winter?
Almost every day.
Almost every
Because
day. Okay.
it's so fun to ski tour with the dogs, and they really enjoy it.
Very good, very good. Andre, I'm going to ask you something. Being Lena Boysen and Kjetil Hillestad's son, two champions in Norway. Does it make difficult for you to have the same image of your parents who are champions?
Sometimes, because when I don't do well, I get a little bit sad inside, but I have done a really good job for the dog, so I should be happy. So sometimes it's hard, but it's okay almost every time. I do really good in the sport, so because of the dogs and how I go with the dogs.
Very good, very good. I'm sure mom and dad are very proud of you, of course. When you race individually by yourself, ski juring or 4-dog class, do you ask your mom or your dad for advice, like their input, or do they ask you how the run went?
They usually ask me, and then Lena will give me some thing to think of and maybe do better next time. So Lena is usually helping me with the sled and the technique of driving the sled. But my dad usually give me some techniques too.
And is 4-dog class something you're going to be continuing on, or are you going to just go climb up to 6, 8 and open class like your dad in the future?
I think I will stick to the sprint 4-dog.
You're going to stick with the 4-dog?
Yeah.
Why? What do you like racing in a 4-dog class? Why? Because of the speed? Because of the intensity? Why do you prefer 4-dog?
Everything, because like just before my start, I will get really
excited.
I will get really nervous, and that's fun because you never know what happens, and that's fun. Not everyone can be a champ every time, but it's really fun to go with the 4-dogs.
Andre, as a young man who grew up with dogs, what would you tell other juniors who are starting with their dogs? What would be your advice to other juniors?
Don't go or don't train the dogs too fast. Train them slow, but not too slow. Just as slow as they can run, but not walk. That's what we usually do, because then we train the muscles, and we have a big field. I don't know, 100 by 100 meters, and there they can run free and have build the speed. So we usually train slow, but not too slow, because then they start to run slow if they get tired. But I had something to say, but I forgot it.
Okay, and so speaking of dogs, how many dogs do you have, or how many dogs in the 4-dog class that you have that you use?
It depends on how the trail is, or how the dogs are acting. But I usually use 2 of my leaders all the time, because they are really, you can trust them because they always do the right thing. So, actually my whole 4-dog team, I use them all the time. The same dogs.
The same dog usually. How do you manage to avoid injuries, for example, if you only have 4 that you use?
Under the race or under training?
Both.
We don't go as fast, or I don't go too fast, because then they don't feel safe. And if the trail is really, you can just, if the trail is really loose, the ground is like sand or snow, really light snow, so the paw just goes straight through, then I need to slow down, because then you avoid injuries.
Andre, do you prefer snow races, or you prefer dry land? Because you do both of them, right?
Actually, I prefer the snow, but I don't know why, because I really like the scooter one dog too. So it's hard to decide which one I like the most.
And for your dryland racers, do you use the same dogs as you use for your sled races?
It depends on the trail because some dogs are better at up and down trails and some dogs are better at just straight trails. So it depends on the trail. But I usually use the same in the scooter and the bike tour.
And in the scooter and the bike tour, do you exercise yourself also? Yourself without dogs?
I try to exercise myself, so sometimes I will go on the bicycle trip around 7K, and sometimes I run in stairs, and sometimes I'll be outside running just a little trip just to get more fit.
I know that this season is over right now. What are your objectives for next season?
Trying to get a good placement in the senior scooter class, and the same as in the winter four dogs. Trying to get a good.
And is it difficult? Andre, is it difficult as a 17-year-old compete against all the adults who come with their own cars and their own trucks and their own handlers and entourage, and you being such a young person competing against those people?
It's hard sometimes because they think I'm just a little guy and they don't want, let's say if it's a mass start, they don't want to share the trail, or they think I'm young and I don't know what I'm doing, so they just don't care. So sometimes it's hard, but it's fun when I do good because then people can really see how the Boysen Hillestad family is.
So my next question, Andre, is what happens after high school? Are you going to university? Are you going to go into a trade? What are your plans for adulthood?
I'm going to work as a carpenter, and so I will work.
And continue
I will
on.
go out and work.
And continue on to do mushing sports as well?
Yes, of course.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to turn it over to KP. KP, what else do you have?
No, I just wanted to thank you, Andre. Wish you the best of the luck. You're a 17-year-old champion who is kicking butt in the European and the world level. It's always fun to see younger people coming and competing so seriously in our sport, and I'm going to be looking forward to see your results. And if you have any sponsors or anyone you want to thank, right now it's time.
I just really want to thank my food sponsors for the dogs, Troll and Trovit, because they're really helping us to have the dogs in shape.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you so much. Looking forward to see your wins and follow your results and your competition. Thank you.
All right, guys. On behalf of my co-host today, KP, this is Robert for the Dog Driver Show. We will see you guys next time. Goodbye.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company. Learn more at firstpaw.coffee.
From First Paw Media, this is the Dog Driver Show. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you can see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert Forto and Parto. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media.